Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Watersurf Chats with. Today, we are joined by the channel All Games No Life. Do you play games and do you have no life? Is that correct?
Yeah, more or less. I guess
Dang.
I guess we could say that. We've got a bookshelf dedicated to it, so I guess it's about as much as
I
as any
see
other
I see
person.
a lot of green. Do you have a lot of Xbox games?
That's just at the top because that's what I probably have the most of. Um, I've also got PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, N64 games are in the spare room, as well as like Atari. I think we've got some Sega Mega Drive games. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Dang. This guy games, if you know what I mean, audience. That's right, we're interviewing a gamer today. So we'll go ahead and just start with the obvious question is obviously your channel is called All Games No Life, but what do you do on your channel? I hope it's gaming.
Well, yeah, it's more or less just talk about games that I enjoy. We've done a few different things. One of them was with Devil May Cry. We call that Generation Gap. I don't know if the name's gonna continue that way, but it's basically me introducing some of my favorite games to my younger brother. As well as just talking about like I've got a reaction video responding to, or not responding to, but like calling out a larger channel than me, going over like some of the points he brought up on things like High Guard, because there's a lot of contentious thoughts about a lot of games, and as someone who probably has a bit more of an idea in what goes into the creation of games, I like to talk about that.
We're gonna get into the that developer question probably a little bit later in the episode. But I guess we'll start with the what types of series do you do? You said you did a generation gap. You said I see like you have one of these series called WTF is blank. Like, what are the
Mhm.
various series you do? Because you're not just doing let's plays. You're doing more than let's plays. You're talking about these games.
Yeah, so the channel started off as doing Let's Plays originally back when the channel was called Box of Issues, which was something I started in COVID time with a few friends, which ended up kind of petering out when they said they didn't, when they had, their life moved on from creating YouTube, which is understandable. But then I think this kind of content started when it initially started when I did a video on Destiny 2, which was me complaining about a bunch of the changes they did with the DLC. And then we kind of, I think the big turn to purely this kind of content was with Armored Core 6. And then that's when I started coming up with the idea of like, oh, I'll call this series like WTF is Doom or things like that, which I didn't. I still use. I didn't actually know that WTF is was a thing done by. I think his name was Total Biscuit, which he was a big YouTuber for a while, who sadly passed away a few years ago. Um, but yeah, so I I'm not trying to swag jack his content or anything, as people say. But yeah, I've done um, WTF is. I've done another one called The Importance of, which is mainly just to Halo at the moment because those are some pretty important games in my eyes. Um, we've also got Generation Gap, which is me and my younger brother. Um, I think that's about it. We've tried a few different things, uh, with like talking about the game awards and stuff like that. But I don't know. We just kind of do a lot of. talking head videos specifically about like reviews on games or talking about specific things that interest us with those games as well.
I guess a follow up question with all your various gaming videos is I mainly see like the AAA games. Is that what you mainly cover, or AAA games, or do you ever dive into the indie space or AA games?
We have a few times. The one of the videos I love most that I've created was the one on Sanctum, which is it's like a first person shooter tower defense that it was massive when Steam was in its earlier years. Um, but a lot of people, I mean, still, if you look up Sanctum, it's really not that well talked about, even though it was kind of where a lot of Coffee Stain Studios came from. That was like one of its biggest early hits. Um, yeah, I definitely like to do more for not triple A games, but I guess it's just one of those things of like those are the big talking points, um, and it's just kind of what I end up coming back to. I did one on the RoboCop game and the Hellboy Web of Weird, which I believe were both double A games. Um, and Lethal Company. Lethal Company is always good, even a few years later.
Yeah, I uh I remember Sanctum. I played it a handful of times when it came out, and I remember my friend bought us all copies of Sanctum too, but we just never ended up playing it. Unfortunately, we just got busy with our lives. Um,
I'd recommend it. It's even today. It's there's nothing quite like it out there.
who knows? Maybe we'll see like a resurgence of people playing that game, because some people always go back to older games, and that'd be really cool to see Sanctum get brought into the limelight again.
Yeah, here's hoping for Sanctum 3 at some point.
Yeah, maybe eventually. I guess we'll move on to a burning question that one of my viewers did ask, but they ended up asking a different question at the end of the day. But and then I've also been curious of the developer's perspective.
Mhm.
Would it are you were you originally a game developer, or do you just do you just know gaming knowledge?
So, games have always fascinated me from a really young age. I've been obsessed with them basically since I was like, I mean, earlier than my tens. Some of the first things I remember is completing Star Fox 64. Um, but I went into schooling for game development for about 3.5 years. And then after that, I worked on a few indie projects in all of my schooling is specifically in game design, so I know how to make GDDs. I know how to like do like work with groups and stuff like that. And then I also worked in a few game jams, did some indie projects. Nothing that really came out or was successful, but I've worked in my handful of like I know I have a hand in what is made, and I also still have personal projects I have working in like Unreal Engine and stuff like that as well.
So you mainly dabble with Unreal Engine, or you've done other engines?
I started off in Unity, but I moved to Unreal Engine because coding is not kind when you have minor dyslexia.
Honestly, I'm not a developer at all. I just consume games, as you can tell. So
Mhm.
it's always fascinating to get a developer's inside perspective, even if they are just a small indie developer, or just have more knowledge than the average gaming consumer does. Um, so the most interesting thing, I think, you have a series called The Developer's Perspective. I'm looking at your channel right now, and I remember you have a one on Borderlands 4. Um, there are some other ones that I'm trying to think of. You had Armored Core you talked about. Um,
Mhm.
and what makes what makes those good or bad from your perspective as a developer?
I personally, something that I feel is overlooked by the majority of people that don't have a developer's perspective on games is they're not always 100% able to put it into the perspective of how all of these different moving parts come together successfully, and it how much effort it takes for those things. Like there is an immense amount of communication that needs to be taking place for all of it to come together. So when you look at games like Borderlands 2, Halo Combat Evolved, games like that that are successful for all of the correct reasons, it's because from the very beginning, the designers and the people in charge had an idea of what they wanted, and they went forward with that end goal in mind. Even if they had things change along the way, that doesn't mean that things won't evolve into more, or sometimes they need to cut back, but it's it's fascinating to see a game come out and have just everything fit into place perfectly, because I know that it takes so much work to just get even the most minor of details in at some point, especially when you have all of these production companies and sponsors and stuff like that that try to dig their fingers into stuff and just mess with crap that they have absolutely no idea or care about how it ends up in the end.
And that's why a lot of people, I feel like we respect indie games more because they don't have that middleman sticking their fingers in. At least most of the indie developers. There's some bigger indie studios, obviously, that might have some of that, but we're talking about just like your average, everyday every indie developer. Sorry.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective for, like, if you look at something like Expedition 33, the fact that that came out in the way that it did and had all of the pieces working as well as it did together, that is like, it's not easy for a small team to produce something that well, but it's a lot easier for a small team like that to get the ideas that they had from the beginning to the end without it exploding or breaking apart, compared to something like what's a good example? High Guard, most likely. Even though that was supposed to be indie, that was very obviously like super high corporate, Tencent funded bullshit. Um, but those are two perfect examples of like a small indie team that is able to move and execute on the details that it wants when it wants, compared to a larger production that just did not have everything in order from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Expedition 33's process and their journey from start to finish. I can only imagine if they were like the lead that was in charge of the game was still at Ubisoft. Imagine if that was a Ubisoft game, it would have been microtransaction to hell, and I don't think it would have been as great as it actually was.
The thing about that though is I doubt if that idea, and I actually kind of do imagine that this was brought up to Ubisoft from the very beginning and it was shut down, is I don't think it would have even begun production to begin with. Like it wouldn't
Exactly.
have been put into the design rooms simply because of the fact that it is a turn-based, like it's basically a JRPG, like a Western JRPG, but still, and there's a very, I don't know why there's a very negative connotation on turn-based games, but I feel like especially with the remake of Final Fantasy Tactics doing so well, we're starting to see that idea kind of fade, and obviously the success of Expedition 33. But yeah, it's very strange seeing how people react to specific types of game. It feels like everything is trying to be Call of Duty, and if it's not Call of Duty, then it sucks. But I mean, Call of Duty sucks, so what are we really aiming for?
I haven't touched Call of Duty since like the 360 PS3 days. I think the last one I played was Black Ops 2 or something. And then I'm just
Yeah,
like,
you're not missing much.
eh. Not that like I do still have respect for any developer that pushes out a game. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like
Mm,
sometimes you're just like this is kind of more of the same thing, and gamers do get fatigued when you just pump out the same thing every year, you know.
yeah, for sure.
I guess we'll move into a question that I always ask all of my gaming interviewees is what are your top 5 favorite games? And if you can't name 5, then we'll just do 10.
My top, well, starting from, I'm actually about to release a video on this, but number one is probably Halo Reach. Um, that game from the day I played it completely changed the way that I look at video games and how a lot of story and progression in like games are done, especially with the way multiplayer and Forge was introduced like that. Like it's that's another example of like just absolute god tier craftsmanship. Um Second is probably Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 2.
The original one or one
Um
of the sequels?
the original, the original Ratchet and Clank. Um And then a weird one that I actually don't hear anyone talking about at all is Prototype for the Xbox 360.
Oh, Prototype was
Um,
such a great game.
yeah, it's very ahead of its time. In fact, it was something that I always like to call it is it's the precursor to Marvel Spider-Man, more or less.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. Oh, four and five are difficult ones. I think four would probably be Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings style game. I'm not sure if you have played it. It's the one
I,
that had the Nemesis system that got
I've
locked away
heard
in the
of
vault
it, and I
forever.
think I think I got it free one time on Steam or something, but I have not touched it yet.
It's a fantastic game. The level of like unique interaction in it is I think even today is untouched. And then last is probably a game that has dominated way too much of my time. It is Guitar Hero 3.
I
That
can
is
I can see
something that
that.
I have spent far, far too much time in. And I'm still not very good at it.
Is there a specific reason why it's 3 and not the other ones, or just has the songs you like the most?
I think 3 is when they really hit their stride in knowing what they needed to do. Because the first Guitar Hero I got was Guitar Hero 1. Um, but that definitely felt like more of a tech demo than 3. I also think from out of all of the games, 3 has probably the best set list of any title that I've played of that style. Like, I mean, it introduced Dragon Force to the wider world. What else do you have to say about it, right?
Yeah. I think we had Guitar Hero 3 on the 360, and I think we might also have it on the Wii if I'm not mistaken, but I would have to double check.
Mhm.
It is a great little game.
What about you? Have you? I don't remember if anyone's asked you this in return. What's your top five?
I've shared my list on my gaming hour multiple times, but number one is a tie between Roller Coaster Tycoon, the mod, the Open RCT, and Parkitect, because
Mhm.
Parkitect just feels like a spiritual successor to that. Number two is Smash Brothers Ultimate. I'm a big Smash fan. I know you might see it in the gaming hour, but I have a poster literally right next to me of all the fighters. Number
Mhm.
three is a tie between is a tie between all three Xenoblade games, the trilogy, the Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3. Uh, okay, yeah. Number 4 is actually all the 3D Mario games. I just put the All Stars collection, even though I think the All Stars collection is just kind of just thrown together. But I like
As in
Sunshine
like
3D All Stars
64 Sunshine and
and
Galaxy?
Galaxy.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But if I had to choose one of the three, it would be Sunshine. Sunshine is probably my favorite out of the 3D Mario games. And then number 5 is
Mhm.
Pokemon Emerald.
Fair enough. I
And
also
then
did forget a close one for me, sorry, is very nearly in my top 5 is Final Fantasy X. Another
everybody likes Final Fantasy X.
absolute cinema the entire way through.
My hot take is that 16 is my favorite, but that's probably just recency bias too.
I actually am I actually am a 16 enjoyer as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it and don't believe it's a real Final Fantasy game, but that you can't dictate that. It's got Final Fantasy in the title. It's a Final Fantasy game.
But I guess my runner up is also the Halo collection. I like 3 the most, but just for the sake of just getting more games on my list, I just put the Master Chief collection because it's solid.
Yeah, fair enough. I think out of the original trilogy of Halo, Halo 3 is probably the best. And I don't know if you've seen the videos on this, but I think Halo 2 is actually the weakest of the original trilogy.
Halo 2 felt like it was part 1 of part 2, you know.
Yeah, yeah, more or less. I also think that a lot of the mechanics just felt a little rushed out the door. Like they just kind of needed to get everything working rather than get it working well.
This is also going
And
to
you can
piss off some
definitely see the
gamers, but I
difficulty.
don't like the battle rifle.
Yeah, I'm a DMR kind of guy myself.
The assault rifle from Halo 1, it's just
I
unloading that clip.
I'm gonna go on a side tangent.
Go ahead.
Not a all games no life side tangent. um, uh, I hate that the assault rifle doesn't have 60 rounds anymore.
You
I
know,
find it to be one of the biggest mistakes that every game past Halo Combat Evolved has ever made with that gun.
was it still 60 in the 2010s remake? I don't remember what that one was called.
It was in the original or in the story, but in multiplayer it was just the multiplayer was just part of Halo Reach, so it was still 32 in the multiplayer.
I also saw in the marketing for the new remake that's coming out this year that they have a skull that lets you have 60. I'm like, why isn't it just default?
Yeah, it's a remake of the game. They have the stuff there already. Just have it be 60
Why do
rounds.
I have to go find a skull for that, man? Just make it default.
Ugh.
And
Anyway,
I
oh,
hope they don't
also
mess up the Halo 1 pistol. That's my beef.
they have nerfed it. They
Oh,
have announced that they've nerfed it already. Um, but I also find it very interesting that my top two Halo games out of the entire franchise are the only two that are not mainline games, which is Halo Reach and Halo 3 ODST.
Halo Reach isn't a mainline game.
No, because it's well, for one, it's not numbered, and two, it's a prequel, and doesn't include Master Chief.
Don't they mention him at the very end?
They
I'm
don't
sure.
mention so the spoilers for anyone who hasn't played
Oh
Reach. I
no.
highly recommend you play it because it's amazing. You've played through Reach? Yes, I
Of
take it.
course I have.
The end where you meet Halsey again is you're taking Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn, and
Yeah,
then
I remember that.
in the final cutscene when it's taking off and you have that shot of the ground as like the pillar of autumn is flying away, you can move the right thumbstick, and then you can see, I believe it's John's cryopod like sitting in that hangar.
So technically, is in it. It's mainline.
Yeah, yeah, technically,
It's
but
mainline. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
yeah,
messing with you.
I think it's still not classed as a mainline game for, even though I think it's
Would
the best Halo game.
does that mean Halo 4, 5, and Infinite are mainline? But
Yes,
we
yes, it
don't talk about
does.
Halo 5.
I'm going to need to at some point because I still need to get through
I
all
think
of my Halo
we should go on
reviews.
a Halo side tangent here because we're obviously both Halo fans. Halo is my number 6 favorite game. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm skeptically looking forward to the remake, but that's aside the point. Is let's talk about Halo. Um, did you start playing Halo on the original OG Xbox or did you play it on PC?
So the first time because I was born in 2000, so I was a little late to the party. But the first interaction I ever had with a Halo game was going over to a friend's place, and then they had the box with the disc in it of Halo Combat Evolved, which I took home and put on my computer. And I was like, "Whoa, this is so much different from like Warcraft 3, which was like one of the only games I had available at the time." Um, so yeah, I played the absolute shit out of that, and then I remember going over to a family friend or a family member's house for Christmas, and then on their OG Xbox they had Halo 2, and I remember just sitting down and playing that like the entire the entire day.
I remember when I moved out to the city I live in right now when I was I think 7 or 8. I remember everybody had Xboxes, and I was just like me with my little GameCube and PS2. It's just like, what the heck's an Xbox? And I remember my mom uh, took me to Best Buy and got me an Xbox so I could fit in with the rest of the kids, and I got Halo. I think this was 2002, 2003, and I
Mhm.
remember I got Halo 2 at launch as well. Uh, so that was also a fun time as a child. So Halo is one of those childhood games of mine, and I'm glad that it's still going. But at the same time, just put Chief to bed, man. He's tired.
Yeah, it's we in 2012, not I think it was not too long after, oh sorry, 2011. Um, not too long after the Combat Evolved anniversary came out, we or my family traded in their Wii for a 360, and the only games we had were Halo Reach, Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, and I think it was Forza Motorsport 3, um, which Forza is a racing series that exists and is way more popular than I think it deserves to be.
Yeah. Um.
Horizon 6, by the way, is really really good. That's the exception to that. Horizon's good. Motorsport, probably steer clear.
Yeah, the Horizon series is better, but we're talking about Halo. Let's hear your hot takes with Halo 5 and how.
I think Halo 5 is genuinely one of the most irredeemably bad games I have ever played from a AAA developer, and I've played Skull and Bones from Ubisoft.
But that was a quadruple A game. You can't compare the two.
I I refuse to accept that that is the first quadruple A game, because I am yet to see a quadruple A game that means anything other than we put way too much money into it, and it's also going to be incredibly arse.
You know, I have a funny story about Halo 5 is I remember I got it on the Xbox One, sorry. I think of like a year or two or three after it came out, and I was just like, this game sucks. And then Halo Infinite
Yeah.
was coming out. I'm like, I guess I gotta play Halo 5 to catch up with the series. And then I found out they retcon everything, so I'm like, I could have just skipped this.
Okay. So I'm
You can
Halo's
spoil Halo
story
5,
has
it's
always
fine.
been one of the best things about the Halo franchise for me. Halo 4, as as much as that game struggles to be a successful Halo game, I think that it has quite a lot of redeeming stories with the way that it wants to approach its story. I think there's a lot of very interesting stuff that it does. And while it's a little misguided by basically making Cortana just a straight up naked woman, um, the story is interesting, like having like diving into the idea of like, oh, Master Chief is a machine, is can he be redeemed, all of this stuff. And then they release three books which just completely destroy everything made inside of that game and the previous games before it. And then Halo 5 happens, right? So Halo 4, you have all of the spec op missions, which is bringing up like Julam Dama. He's the new Covenant leader. He's the big bad that everyone's gonna be really like. He's gonna be the main antagonist for the next game, and they kill him in the first minute and a half of the first cutscene.
It wasn't that big bad, was he?
I just there's it's incredible how little thought to me there was for like just taking in any of the build up or like all of the books and the stuff that they built specific like it could have been so much more interesting with like trying to I don't know take down a covenant that's putting in like using guerrilla tactics and stuff like that, but instead they're just like I don't know, Cortana's back and she's the big bad now. It's like what, why?
And then I think Halo Infinite is all right. I just I just think the lack of like flood was just like
they
eh.
but they do it again. That's the thing. This is the thing about 343 that annoys me so much is they have this tendency to release three books that just derail everything. Like Halo Wars 2 introduced the Banished. Atriox, he was an incredibly devious guy. He's really strong. He makes the UNSC look like a bunch of chumps. He tosses Chief outside of the thing. And again, sorry, spoilers, but I really don't think the story of Infinite is that good. Um, Oops, he's dead. Who killed him? Oh, Cortana. What's happening with Cortana? Oops, she's dead. When did that happen? I don't know, off screen sometime. What?
She killed herself because the
Why?
writing was bad.
I just it's I've never seen a series become so destructive in the space of two games. Like it's so self-destructive that it's incredible.
I think the only upside with Halo Infinite though is that at least he's got a grappling hook now.
I genuinely am so opposed to the grappling hook. It's not funny. It
I'm
is.
making a joke.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong. I really like the armor abilities in Halo Reach. Right, that is something that is a hill I will die on. A lot of people hate them. I think that they are introduced in that game incredibly well to the point where it actually is a massive bonus to the level design in that. 343 just don't understand what the fuck they're doing, man. I'm sorry, I need to say it, but like there's no thought behind the introduction of the things they're putting into the game and how they will interact with other players. I I hope that they're learning with Combat Evolved and like stripping all of that back, but
It's called Campaign Evolved.
yeah, yeah.
I like I
You got
said,
the gremlin out of me.
I'm optically skeptic about the remake that's coming out. What is it, July?
Yeah, yeah, the end of next month.
I will say
Um,
that it is interesting to see this game released on PlayStation, though. That's the only thing that I'm
yeah,
just like, okay.
the thing with me about that is I feel like the reason they're releasing Campaign Evolved and not the Master Chief Collection is mainly to get a new stream of customers that have no prior knowledge of what Halo was supposed to be. Like they're trying to like Halo is one of the biggest franchises. Obviously, everyone's heard if you play video games and you're in the video game sphere, you've at least heard the name Halo. You know roughly what it is. That doesn't mean you've played it or have watched anything about it.
No, I beg to differ. I watched the series on Paramount Plus, Master Cheeks.
Ugh. Ugh. How did that get a second season?
I think it should have got a third. Just kidding.
Oh.
We don't need to talk about that.
um, but I don't I just yeah I think that they're trying to get specifically this rebranding, calling themselves Halo Studios and separating themselves from 343. I think they're trying to release this new game that they're making to a bunch of fresh faces that don't have any idea what Halo was or is or how well it played, so that a bunch of people can get this and be like, wow, this is really cool. I want to learn more about it. And then they, go off and buy more stuff from 343. Um, it's it makes sense that they're like, oh no, all of that past stuff, we don't really want to do anything with that
Wait
anymore
a
because
minute. I feel like Halo Studios is just 343 in a trench coat.
yeah, it's 3, 4, and the numbers 3, 4, and 3 in a trench coat. You kind of squint and it looks like Halo, I guess.
We'll go ahead and move away from Halo. And I know you had a little bit of talk about, I think, in my opinion, a little bit cooler of a first person shooter, which is Doom. We can move over to
Yes,
Doom.
Doom is a very interesting game. From, I mean, it's Doom. It's the first person shooter.
I
I
heard that
don't
it runs on anything.
debatable. I guess it depends on what you're trying to run it on because it as much as people claim original Doom does not run on a calculator.
It's interesting to see what people can get their original Doom running on. I think someone's doing a Neo Geo mod right now, from what I last saw. I'm
Yeah,
just like, all right.
I can see it. I mean, it worked on Commodore 64, so I imagine they'd be able to get it to work on anything. I mean, there was a single developer who managed to get it working on the CDI. I think it was the CDI in like 3 months. And it's a really bad port of that game, but the fact that she was able to do it at all is incredible.
I think if Doom ran on the original Super Nintendo, I think you're fine.
Yeah, yeah. Get me an NES version.
Yeah, give me an NES version. I think it also had a Game Boy Advance port, if I'm not mistaken,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
because the Game Boy Advance is just a portable Super Nintendo at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is like again, for the time they released that, an incredible piece of tech. It's also built with duct tape and spit. Like it's an absolute mess of a handheld, but it's incredible that they got it to work as well as it does.
Yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and move over to, we've been talking a lot about first person shooters. Like, is your favorite genre first person shooters?
I would say it's probably the one that it's the one that I play the most. But realistically, I think my favorite is probably hack and slashes. Things like Prototype, Devil May Cry, um, the original God of War series are some of like again my top games of all time. Um, I think that there is so much they could do with hack and slashes that hasn't been done yet, but everyone is so obsessed with the Arkham, not Batman Arkham style combat, like with the new God of War series and all of that, that they're kind of moving too far away from it to really take what it could be and run with it.
I feel like people have also lost the meaning with hack and slashes. They're like, everything's Dark Souls now. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of people are very much blurring the line between hack and slash and RPG or action RPG for me a lot of the time.
Because I mean, if everything's a hack and slash, that means Final Fantasy 16 is a hack and slash technically.
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
I mean, if you really want to be specific, first-person shooters are a hack and slash. You're just hacking and slashing when you do the melee combat.
Or ripping and tearing if you're playing Doom.
Whoa!
I brought it back. It's a full circle. We did it.
We did it. Make sure you like and subscribe to All Games No Life YouTube.
And Watersurf. Check out his gaming hour.
Nah, don't
He'll
do that. Don't do that. It's
he'll
bad.
definitely do a Doom one soon, right?
Eventually, I guess.
I feel
We'll
like
go ahead. Sorry.
oh sorry. I was gonna say I feel like it's something you just gotta do as a gaming channel. You gotta touch on Doom at some point. It's like the gamer thing to do.
I think I was going to do the 2016 version, but have like a brief segment where I talk about the original. Um, I guess the first two and 64 technically.
Yeah, the original ones are fascinating as to how well they've aged.
I don't think
Um,
they could stand on their own for a gaming hour though. But as a segment in a gaming
no,
hour, then yeah, for sure.
yeah, for sure. They're yeah, I'd highly recommend the game design of the original Doom series is phenomenal. It is the cornerstone of what makes first person shooters so enthralling today.
And I feel like the original Doom also just like set the groundwork for everything else. Like, you know, Quake, Duke Nukem, Wolfenstein.
Well, Wolfenstein was first.
Wolfenstein was first. The
Yeah,
more you
it came
learn,
out. Yeah, so id Tech created the engine to create Wolfenstein 3D. And Doom is it's kind of the same idea with I guess it's just a lot of like, refining everything they did with Wolfenstein. Like Wolfenstein is very much a like the precursor to Doom, but it's also missing like it's just missing something that Doom hits so well.
I feel like Doom, Wolfenstein was probably just like the baby steps, and Doom was just hit the ground running.
Yeah, it the Wolfenstein is the Guitar Hero to Doom being Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess we'll go ahead and move on though. Is like, you release a handful of videos, probably like once or twice a month at most. What future videos are you working on? You said you mentioned a top five thing.
Um no, not a top 5 as it is at the moment, but where I the biggest one or the one that's about to come out soonest is touching on another one of my favorite games, which is an old it's called Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. And that is talking about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, um, and the sequel to it, which
Revenge,
was
I
really
think.
weird. Yeah, Revenge. And how, like, kind of comparing it to what we've seen from Galactic Racer, which is, I think, going to release sometime next month as well. I don't remember if that was next month or November.
Well, I guess we'll find out when we look.
um, I also have my probably one of the hardest scripts I've ever had to write, which was my review on Halo Reach, and just kind of trying to break it down and why it's so important to me and how I look at video games. Um, and then the one that we're actually going to start recording tomorrow, which is probably one of the biggest projects that I've had to take on, which may or may not have a special guest appearing in it,
I wonder who the
um,
special guest is.
is a video on State of Decay and State of Decay 2, which is going to be a bit of a step away from what I do normally because I want it to be more like a film or a show or very much touching on the older school angry video game nerd. Like there's a premise from the beginning and it carries that, and also it's about a game, I guess. I I don't have a name for it. It's very weird.
It sounds like it's a pilot episode.
Yeah, yeah, more or less.
So make sure you all go check that out when it comes out. Not because there's a special guest in it, because All Games No Life makes some banger videos.
We try our best. Oh, also, um, we have a new we have a new friend, which is the first real camera that we're going to be using instead of just phones and webcams.
There's nothing wrong with using
Um,
your phone webcams, but using a camera ups the production quality for sure.
yeah, for sure. Um, and yeah, like if you want to produce the kinds of videos that I produce or like Surf produces, there is absolutely nothing wrong with just getting your phone and doing it. Because at the end of the day, as long as you are doing it, that is half of the battle. It doesn't matter about lighting, it doesn't matter about scripting, it doesn't matter about anything like that. As long as you are willing to produce something and put it out into the world, that shows that you have what it takes to do whatever you want on screen. You just need to take the first step.
I think
Um,
there is this creator. I mean there I do follow him, but Zachary Smigel. He kind of inspired my video essay series. You might have saw his video talking about the YouTube algorithm like I think 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember when it came out. But he was saying that he was recording on his phone for the longest time. And I'm like, I didn't even know until you said something.
mm. Yeah, and it's
So
it's you
nothing
can
wrong with
you can
phones.
yeah, you can take the footage from your phone and then especially with free software like DaVinci Resolve, you can make it look like an absolute art form. Um or like even some of the older videos that I started with was just using a like a $70 webcam from well, $70 Australian, which was what, like $2 and a Snickers over in America.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but just one of those cheap Logitech webcams that shoots in 720p. And you just like slap that on a tripod or anything that can like keep the camera up. There you go. That's your entire recording rig.
I just have my webcam literally sitting on my monitor.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, but I've
The only difference now is I finally have a light. I don't know if you can see that, but I finally have a light. I'm not using my janky desk light anymore.
yeah, I just threw up the two that I have here. And I have another another thing that we're using for this camera because I realized that with that camera, I need proper lighting and not just the two pen lights that I have. And that guy up there that I've used for the longest time, just
The
for
smiley
some.
face?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, you know,
homemade
we need to talk
softbox I
about the
made out of
elephant
a
in the
desk
room.
lamp.
What is that smiley face?
So that is a desk lamp that you just can like clamp onto a desk or something and move around. And it's a, a homemade that I turned into a homemade softbox. So it's just like one of those like little, I think it's a half box of monster that I like a box of monster that I cut in half and then put the inside with tin foil. I cut out the center so that it's the shape of the lamp, stuck it on there, and then put um just like some paper towel over the front. And it's just, yeah, you turn it on and it's great. Hang on. Let me see if I can. There you go.
And there's no more smiley face.
He's
You
back.
know, you know what I say. That's jank as hell. But sometimes it's always better to embrace the jank. Like my lighting setup for my green screens before I got actual like good lights was just this big light bulb that I just stuck up and pointed at me, and it blinded the hell out of me, but that was my lighting setup for like 12 years.
A good tip for that as well is if you're if you're trying to get even more even lighting on a setup, just if you tape like a single piece of paper over the front of it, it's immediately a softbox. Like it just diffuses a bunch of the light and it works so much better than it has any right to.
Embrace the jank, guys. It's okay. No one's gonna
It's
judge you. No
okay.
one will know.
In fact,
Also,
sometimes it's better than spending the money. You get
also,
to
you're
you
making
have a learning
YouTube
experience.
videos. You're making YouTube videos. Nobody's gonna judge you for that.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the two viewer submitted questions that we got. I'm going to
Mm,
start with somebody who's never asked a question before. I'm surprised they asked one, but this one comes from Grandma Raven from my Discord server. These both come from my Discord server, by the way. But
mm.
Grandma Raven says, and this is going to be a really hard question, the hardest question I'm ever going to ask you: waffles or pancakes?
Um, so this is going to be an interesting one because I don't know if this is well known for you guys, but waffles really just aren't a thing in Australia.
Oh my god. How do you guys live
Like
with
I
yourselves?
I don't think I've ever actually seen a waffle in a store. Like even the like Waffle House equivalent that you guys have in America, ours is called Pancake Parlor. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to go pancakes because I've never really had one.
I'm going to let you in a little secret. Waffles are just pancakes with abs, so you're not really missing much. The only difference is waffles, they
Oh.
have the little squares so you can put the syrup in, so that's
So
about
it's like
it.
the Twilight version of pancakes.
I guess so.
It's like shirtless and has abs.
Yeah, they're just absolutely ripped pancakes.
Yeah, I have had uh some of those like the we get breakfast items in McDonald's from America, and there are some weird combinations you guys have.
Hey man, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but like every state has a weird different menu sometimes. Like I'm over in California if you didn't know, but we don't have Waffle Houses in California. We have the Denny's and the IHOPs, and then the local mom and pop shop, obviously.
Hmm.
I think there is this one when I used to work at Disney that I drove by every single day. It was called like Pancake House, and it always had a line out the door, and I was just like, maybe one day, but I never went.
Yeah, pancake parlor for us is I don't actually know. There's there's one pancake parlor in like every suburb that has always been open, but I don't know a single person who has gone there and had a good experience.
So it's like our Denny's. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, they're always open and there's no customers in there, but for some reason it's just never gonna go away.
All right, we'll go ahead and move over to a regular on this on the who always asks questions. You know Toast from the server.
I believe so.
he also asks a lot of questions in the podcast. He's usually a reoccurring, but uh, he's got a long question, but it's just one question at the end of the day. But I'll go ahead and read it. It's
Mhm.
refreshing to see YouTubers who make short and straightforward 5 to 12 minute videos, unlike some who struggle to keep it under an hour. I think that's a jab at me. I'd I'd like to know your experience as a game designer and about some of the games you worked on, but that's probably what you two were talking about for the past hour, right? Anyway, my question is, what does all games no life supposed to mean? Is there a story behind that name?
Um, yes and no. It's partially because I wanted to point the channel more towards it being about games, and us to be able to shorten it to an abbreviation like AGNL. Um, but it's also part of. I personally cannot imagine my life without video games because, as I say in a video that I'm about to release, if I didn't have a lot of the games that I had growing up, I would just be a completely different person. Like, so much about video games and what I saw through them as I when I was younger, has shaped me in ways that I cannot imagine. Um, and it's yeah, I mean, take Halo Reach out of my life. I don't know what I don't know where I would be. I that that is Halo Reach is the reason I studied to be a game designer in the first place.
Yeah. And I remember when you changed your name, because I remember when you joined my Discord server a long time ago. You were sharing your videos to me. You had you were what your box of issues. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm misremembering, but and I was just
No, you
like,
got it.
that's an interesting name. But then when you did the rebrand to All Games No Life, I'm like, that seems like a more catchier name, you know.
Yeah,
And I think it was
it's
for the
also
better.
yeah, it's I was worried that it would get caught up with No Game No Life, which is a very popular anime series, but I think it's different enough to be understandable in my eyes. But yeah, Box of Issues initially started as just me and a friend in their house. We were literally sitting around and being like, "Oh, we should do YouTube, like kind of Game Grumps style, like talking over, just having fun talking over games." They're like, "Yeah, but we need to come up with a name for it," and we were both just like, "I don't know, box of tissues. Take away the tea." That's the genius behind that name. So
Hey, sometimes the simple names work. I mean, my username comes from a nickname I gave to a mudkip when Pokemon Emerald came out. It was
I
originally
thought
supposed
that
to be
had something to do.
Watersurfer, but the ER part didn't fit. So I'm like, I guess Watersurf it is then. And then when I joined Xbox Live in 2006, I just stuck with the username.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Hey, you don't. Sometimes it's not always the like names you put a shit ton of thought into that are the ones you end up with. Like, I mean, that one of the most popular YouTubers in the world is named PewDiePie.
They're all PewDiePie. uh, we're gonna go ahead and move to the tail end of the episode where we give your final thoughts. Is there anything that you want to let the viewers know that have made it thus far? Is there anything that you like? Do not play this game. I will come to your house and I'll kick your door down. Or do you just want to, I don't know, give some wisdom? I don't know. It's the final thoughts.
I think a big thing that is very worth talking about for people that are interested in games or getting into game design or anything like that is YouTube is one of the best resources for learning anything like that. There's always going to be Unreal Engine and Unity, which are two incredibly accessible and easy starting points. And like yeah, people on YouTube that release tutorials are absolute heroes in my life. And there's nothing wrong with just getting into it and seeing what you can do. Even if you don't really have a plan, just like opening a tutorial and messing around. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Maybe you have some ideas that you can reach out to a community and be like, "Hey, does anyone want to try to work with me on a game jam or something?" There's always people that are willing to help and help. Like there's game design is equally one of the most accessible things you can ever do and one of the most heartbreaking. Um, so just remember that when you create a game, or if you're looking at a game, or even just thinking of an idea, don't be scared of breaking it down into its finer parts and working on it piece by piece. It's it's a long process, but it's very worth it.
That's some good final words of wisdom. Now, what's your most hated game? Go.
Dark for the Xbox 360. It is the worst piece of shit I've ever played in my life, and I have released a video on it, and it was so bad that I genuinely could not finish it.
All right. Well, that's all games, no life. I hope you enjoyed this game. Not gaming hour. Jeez, I'm terrible.
It feels like a gaming hour. Hey, we had fun with this one. We talked about games. What else is there?
There's more games. All the games. All the games know the life. Okay, well,
Surfing.
this will be the end card section. So, there we go. Right here is going to be his Ding Dang channel. Right here is going to probably be one of his series. Right here, probably his most recent video whenever this goes live, and then down here is the rest of the podcast episodes. You can check those out. Do you
Hey,
have
hey,
anything to
hey!
say?
I see you. I. What is that? What do you do? You haven't liked and subscribed to Watersurf yet? What are you doing?
Did you check out All Games No Life? That's the whole point of the series. Go do that, or else we'll make you play Dark.
Oh God, that's a fate worse than death.
All right, bye bye.